China economy strong, building strong economy, economy for China, for China. Yeah, so back to another episode of China Economy Strong. This is Argent Templar as we chronicle China's rise and attempts to build the strongest economy on Earth. So, this is on the walnut bubble. And no, this is not a joke. Let me see here. I have right here some examples of the Chinese walnut bubble. I think it's crashed a little since this article was written. But yeah, you can spend hundreds of dollars to buy China walnuts. Okay, so this article basically talks about the tulip bubble, which was a period of insanity in Holland in the 17th century where people were selling their houses to buy tulips. People were spending the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes 10 times their year's salary to buy tulip bulbs. Now, as the author of this article points out, tulip bulbs aren't really inherently valuable because you could just grow more tulips. It's a bit like fruit. You could just plant another couple more fruit trees. You can ramp up production. You can produce more. It's not like gold or silver, where there's a limited amount, and the and making more is very difficult. I mean, silver and gold mining is, to my understanding at least, part of what makes it valuable is the mining process is slow and it's created at a fairly fixed rate. Um, so you just don't really get that much coming out, and it's kind of a limited supply. Other commodities like copper are a limited supply, or steel, or coal, or oil. Also, they're inherently useful. You can make wire out of copper. You can make buildings out of steel. You can use oil to produce electricity. These things have inherent value. Tulips just kind of look nice. But China has turned up the speculation meter. The China economy is just doing so well. People are no longer investing their money in businesses or stocks. They're investing it in walnuts. Yes, step forward to the Chinese. Just as the Dutch have always had a liking for tulips, the China have always had a liking for walnuts. Playing with a pair of walnuts in your hand calms you down. I know my grandmother and grandfather are really big walnut fans, so I know what they mean. It's fun to play with walnuts. Um, but they grow plentifully, and so who cares? It's a good point. It's nuts aren't particularly expensive. They aren't really cheap, but it's not really something you'd expect to invest a lot of money in a nut or something. Peanuts aren't nuts; they're legumes, but you can get a big bag of those for a couple bucks. Walnuts are significantly more expensive, and they're kind of a pain to transport. But if you really want a walnut, you can go to a store and buy one. It's not like it's that difficult. But sadly, it seems rather a lot of people do care about them, as there is now a booming market in walnuts, not just antique walnuts. And I think this is a good point. Sorry if this is really getting too serious. It's so silly. I don't really even know how to make fun of it. I mean, if we're talking about like something like, I don't know, that or this or this or those, and they're like from Imperial China, maybe they're a couple hundred years old. Yeah, like I could see that. I mean, art is always a good place to sink your money. Lots of wealthy people buy a lot of art. Picasso and Leonardo da Vinci and any of the other big artists, their paintings are never really going to go down in value. Salvador Dali painting's always going to be worth something. So it's not a good place to. It's not a bad place to park your art. So if they're investing in like actual like vintage verifiable antique walnuts, and that's just kind of like a cultural thing in China. Like you got certain types of paintings common in Europe. You got totem poles in the Haida and the West Coast. You have like masks and stuff in Mexico. I mean, these are just kind of like traditional folk crafts. So if China just that's kind of like a traditional form of their art, I can get that. That's not really what's going on though. If they were just if a bunch of people were just putting together antique walnut collections, yeah. So prices of walnuts and special walnuts, so including ones that freshly grown that have pleasant patterns. Prices of walnuts and special walnut shirts and online walnut brokerages. There's fucking walnut brokerages? It's a walnut. You can sell them on eBay, or you can sell them at, I don't know, like a antique store or something. Why do you need a special brokerage for it? Um, 1,000% in 10 years, and now especially with shares in property having taken a bit of a knock, the media is accelerating as folks looking for surefire winners, as this Reuters video makes clear. Listen to the end. The reporter says the boom may not last as Chinese farmers are now planting more walnut trees. May not last. Of course it will not last. Right now I am seeing if I have any old walnuts from Christmas, last Christmas, to FedEx to China tomorrow morning. Walnuts are grown across the world, and their innate value is virtually nothing. Well, I wouldn't say it's exactly nothing. I mean, you can eat walnuts. I think you can make oil out of walnuts. I mean, as a cash crop, I'm sure they have like a fair amount of value. As a way of parking your wealth, unless you're buying like walnut furniture, which will hold its value, or like a walnut farm, this is fucking crazy. And of course, the Chinese government has just announced massive fiscal monetary stimulus to keep the economy strong. I refer to this article on the subject of stocks. But if China is going to cut the cost of credit, why should I invest in dull old sectors like coal mining or textiles when I can make 200% a year by buying walnuts? You and I know that the answer, but there will be enough fools who do not, and the bubble will just grow bigger by economic stimulus. So, in other words, China government make China economy strong, and China economy strong. Buying and selling walnuts help China economy. Walnut more important than steel industry to make economy strong. So let's see here. The bigger, the older, and the more symmetrical possible. So they go up to several $1,000s. The stock market is down over the past 3 years, and there are few options for investing overseas. The market for walnuts and other trinkets, such as home gourds to house crickets, continues to thrive. One pair for sale on a popular walnut trading website is listed at $31,000. I don't make that much in a year. And walnuts are not alone. In a frenzy of speculation, drove up prices of pu'er, a fermented variety a fermented variety of tea from Yunnan province. In 2009, garlic prices soared as punters moved onto more poignant ground. Uh, More recently, there's been a surge of interest in traditional mahogany furniture. That doesn't really seem as bad. Uh, like like hardwood, good quality furniture is normally a pretty safe place to put your money. Especially if it's like antique. That's not like that bad compared to fucking walnuts and garlic and tea. That's not bad at all. Um, let's see. China's security regulators. Let's see here. They look at the property market where there is concerns about prices. The equity market has gone nowhere for years. Bank deposits don't do anything for you. That fuels this speculative activity. Chinese security regulator is trying to change that, seeking to entice investors back to the stock market by cracking down on insider trading and other wrongdoing, cutting trading transaction fees, and pushing companies to pay out higher dividends so that investors can expect more regular returns. Many analysts say that winning them over will take time, as many lost large sums of money in past market slumps and remain skeptical as to how stable the stock market is. One person suggests that perhaps um, they're okay with money flowing into random shit like walnuts because it doesn't drive up the food prices. So it's revealed, and it does actually make China economy strong. China is so much smarter than Western nations. Excessive investment go into random crap so that food prices don't go up. Because if food prices don't go up, then people can buy food, and if people can buy food, then they can keep working, and China economy can remain strong. And meanwhile, The Tai Chi feng shui energy contained within the walnuts will continue to produce a mystical glow around China. No, that's not the pollution, that's the mystical glow of the walnuts. That will continue to make China economy strong. This is Argent Templar, and I will sing you out. China economies, this is China moment. China moment, this is China moment to shine.